got the same questions, Aaron. David Mark from the ABC. Cameron Green comes into the squad. Does he play straight away?
No, I don't think so. He's just arrived this morning in from Perth, so he's come in as cover. I mean, we've taken the risk and not gone with the extra keeper, which is obviously has a degree of risk to it, but we feel as though Cam gives us a little bit better balance to the squad.
Just what is the thinking about not bringing in a reserve keeper?
Yeah, well, Matty Wade's very resilient, touch wood. I think we went through some numbers, and I think it's 0.5% chance that something's happened in the past in T20 cricket to a keeper that's ruled him out on the day of the game. We feel as though if something was to happen pre-game and it ruled him out for the tournament, so like at training or something, then there'd still be enough time. So that's the reason there. It's definitely a risk, no doubt about that, but it's probably one we're prepared to take more so than covering a fast bowler, a batter and an all-rounder. We feel as though that's a really crucial skill set.
Feel free to distribute as you want.
G'day, Aaron.
G'day, Mel.
Congratulations on Geelong winning.
Thank you.
Just wanted to ask if you had a team and whether you have or haven't, are you going to open the batting?
Yes, I will open the batting, but we don't have a team just yet.
And does the weather play a part in that? There's been a lot of rain around and forecast tomorrow.
Yeah, you always do all your planning and preparations, trying to go through as many scenarios as you can to make sure that if it does come up that you're already planned and prepared for it and nothing catches you off guard. So, I mean, if there is rain around and the game's shortened, that can dictate what you do with your team. But we're really confident that all the stuff that we've done in the lead up to this, that there's enough bases that we can cover with our squad.
Are you relieved to have reached this point, Aaron, where the next game is the first game of the World Cup for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a hectic couple of months. We've been on the road quite a bit and not too many, I think one back-to-back game in the same spot, which was Canberra. So there's been a lot of travel and stuff, but the last few days has been a really good chance for guys to freshen up. And then we had a really long training session yesterday that obviously went a bit longer with some drug testers around that kept some guys back for a while, but that's unavoidable. But it's really exciting to get into it. I think that we've always had one eye towards this, and now that it's here, it's exciting. No doubt there'll be a few nerves around tomorrow as well.
Aaron, can I ask what the question marks are over the team still? Because it seemed like for the last week you've got a pretty settled 11. Is it a matter of whether you play an extra spinner, or is it just because you haven't seen the pitch? Or
we saw it very briefly yesterday, and it looked on the drier side. So we'll weigh all of that stuff up. We feel as though with the balance of the squad, we've got the option of playing two frontline spinners. We've got the option of playing an extra all-rounder in Cam, which won't happen because he's flying in this morning. Ashton Agar's there. Maxi is a really good role as well. So I think that it just comes down to what we think is the best matchup for New Zealand, but also focusing on ourselves and give ourselves the best chance of being successful. And we'll sit down after training and go through that.
And what about your depth of games? Like obviously, and you guys have spoken about how maybe your warm-up games or the series you've had in the lead-in maybe weren't the highest intensity, but are you confident with where you are at the depth of game chasing runs? Because that seems to be where you've lost a few games in the past couple of weeks. Yeah,
I think there's been a few times, and it probably goes across both white ball formats of the game, that we tend to have been in really good positions and we've just let games slip when we've had them in our grasp. But I've got a huge amount of confidence in our number 4, 5, 6, 7 to be able to do that role. I mean, we saw the importance of playing 7 batters last World Cup and having Wadey, a seriously good batsman at number 7, to be able to do that job. And there's times when you're going to be in trouble, and we backed that middle order and lower order to be able to get us out of some trouble if need be, or put a bit of icing on the cake if things go really well up the top of the order. So it just comes down to being as well prepared as we can, and I think that we are. There's not too many bases that we haven't ticked off, and I think overall there's an opportunity for us to be really confident going into this, even though our last few games haven't been probably the most clinical that we've seen. I think going into a World Cup, having a really good amount of experience in the squad is crucial.
Aaron, I just wanted to ask you about facing left armers, like how you've gone against them this year.
You tell me. You would have done all the numbers on it.
I might have, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know Trent's going to be there, kind of waiting for you. I think Kane Williamson said it on the presser before. It's obviously no secret, but
I'd be very surprised if he wasn't.
Yeah. So, like, what's your as part of the technical stuff that you've worked on over the last since the last World Cup is is facing left arm been a big part of that?
A little bit. The one thing that you don't get access to a huge amount. We've obviously got Dan Vittori here who can throw and stick left-handed, but it's just about doing it more and more. I think Trent's an unbelievable bowler. He has been for 10 or 12 years now. So when you open the batting, you've got to get out to someone eventually. And he's probably had my number, no doubt. But I still feel as though I've still got a really solid game plan. I think there's some technical things that I can do to a left armour that can help that. I think at times I've probably been a little bit more negative towards left arm bowlers. So you almost bat trying not to get out as opposed to trying to be really proactive. So there's all that to consider and take into tomorrow.
And are you pretty confident that once you're there tomorrow, facing that first ball, that you've kind of gotten rid of those technical thoughts and you're just thinking about batting? Or
yeah, just batting. Just watch the ball. That's all that you can control. I think when you make some small technical changes under pressure, which is generally your first 5 to 10 balls, your technique generally defaults back to what you've done for, in my case, probably best part of 30 years, and your footwork patterns remain pretty similar. And it's as soon as you start thinking about that as a bowler's running in, you're dead. You got no chance because your mind's clouded. You're not paying 100% attention to the ball. So I'm confident that when we walk out tomorrow, I'll be ready to go.
Aaron, there are a few unknowns about T20 cricket in Australia, right? Not many big name players have often come and played in the BBL in the last few years. So just the natural charms of Australia, I guess, the bigger boundaries, the pitches. Do you see them playing a specific role in this tournament, or will it just be T20 cricket like it is everywhere else?
I think most teams are pretty flexible and pretty adaptable to playing a couple of different ways. I mean, there's some guys who are serious power hitters who don't take any boundary into consideration because they know if they get it out of the middle, it's going to go for 6 anyway. So it's probably the guys through the middle order who, when you're playing in places maybe like England where the grounds are a bit smaller, the subcontinent where they're small and fast, that you can get away to a flyer with boundaries early in your innings. And there's still a couple of places you can do that here in Australia. I mean, there's going to be one short side here tomorrow, I think 63 metres and 72 the other side. The Gabby, you can get away to a bit of a fly because it's so open and you get a bit more pace on the ball. So there's still places where all game styles will be effective. And I think that's what makes T20 a great game. There's so much strategy, but the fundamentals are still there.
And, Australia go in as favourites, defending champions and, home conditions and all that. But just the fact that even in Hobart and Geelong, Jason Holder said you can focus on test match lengths with the new ball and knock a few over in those first 6 overs. Does that make you even stronger considering you have your test attack playing, in the seam attack anyway? Yeah,
I think that with the new ball, it can go one of two ways. You can be really disciplined and precise, as we feel our attack with Josh Hazlewood, who takes the new ball, for example, that's his bread and butter. But then you've also got guys that rely on so much variation. Sometimes it's natural variation. Sometimes it's just their action is just slightly off and the ball comes out at different speeds, and that can be effective as well. So I think there's a lot of different ways that you can play cricket in Australia, and that's the beauty of it. You get such varied conditions from the east to the west, even north in Brisbane to the south down in Melbourne or Hobart. I think that there's so many variables that come into it that the team that wins the competition will be a really well-rounded team and a team that can adapt quicker to changing conditions all the time.
Aaron, will you have Mitchell Marsh available as a bowling option tomorrow?
Good question. He had a really good solid bowl yesterday and from all reports at this stage he pulled up really well, so we're hoping to, yeah.
I just had a question about about the rain, and Andrew McDonald said yesterday that it is something that you do discuss in the lead up to matches if there's rain forecast. If you go into the game tomorrow night knowing that it will be shortened, is there anyone outside of your likely 11 who comes into consideration then? I mean, is there a strategy around certain players if you've got a shortened match that?
Probably it's just more shuffling the batting order. I would think we've got some power all the way through our order, so we feel as though you can probably map out how an opposition's going to bowl or use their resources a little bit more, so you can try and get the match on or the matchups in your favour as much as you can. And like I said earlier, you do put so much time and effort into planning for all scenarios, and you have to be flexible. And the thing about rain affected games, how much affected? If it's 2 overs, doesn't make much of a difference. If it's a 5 over game, that makes a huge amount of difference. So I think even now, which I didn't know until we played in India, the 8 over game, that you only need to use 4 bowlers compared to the 5. So that caught me off guard when we played that game, and it was 8 overs, and they said you only have to use 4 bowlers. I was a bit surprised. So then it's a trade-off. Do you play an extra batter, knowing that you probably won't use that resource that far down the order, or do you play an extra bowler and maybe not using them as well? So that's a good question, and we've gone through a lot of that stuff, and I think most times you would stick with your 11 that you feel leading into the game is best suited for them conditions and that opposition. So plenty to think about though, and behind the scenes that all them discussions have happened, and you try not to talk to the players a huge amount about what if this happens or what if that happens. We try and make it as open as we can in terms of everyone being really flexible in regards to their role throughout the order and what might change throughout a 20 over game. So everyone's really accustomed to changing things up at the last minute.
First of all, Aaron, should golf be banned before a major tournament?
That was a freak accident. I was playing in Josh's group, and I feel so bad for him because Maxie had played his shot, and then Josh hit, and we didn't realise the club broke. We just thought he hit it poorly, and he looked down and there was blood everywhere. So that was a freak accident. His clubs might have got damaged while travelling or something like that, but it was pretty distressing there for a little bit, especially with all the unknowns. And when we got the news that there was no tendon damage or anything, that was obviously a big relief. But yeah, disappointed that he misses out on another opportunity to be a part of the squad for the World Cup.
Was he okay? Within himself, how was he?
Oh, he was obviously a little bit distressed. It's just like the unknown, because there was so much blood and stuff there that you couldn't really see the wound. We could see it was deep, but not a huge amount. But he was obviously pretty flat. A World Cup is a pretty special event, and for him to now be missing out of our 15 is disappointing for Josh, and especially for the rest of the group, because he's such a great guy around it. He brings a lot of energy to our squad, and throughout the last World Cup as well, he was an integral part of. I mean, he didn't play, but the off-field team as well, which is as important as on-field at times, because it keeps the group together a lot.
I just wanted to ask you about Kane Richardson. Probably a bit over a year ago, he might have been seen by some as perhaps Australia's most valuable T20 quick bowler. Do you expect to see him play? And what sort of circumstances might you decide to play Kane?
Well, we saw in Brisbane when he took the new ball that he was able to move it around a little bit, and he's got some really good skills with the new ball. But I think we've seen over the last decade that he comes into his own in the middle and later parts of the innings when guys are really looking to attack him. And he's been really unfortunate at different times to pick up niggles at the wrong time when he would have got a really good run at games. So he came off a really brilliant 100 competition where he came in off an injury and performed unbelievably well. So for him, he's so versatile that he can cover any part of the 20 overs, which is such a strong position to be in with our squad.
Any more from the floor here, guys, before we throw to Zoom?
Aaron, it's been over a decade since New Zealand beat Australia in any form of the game. Do you feel like you have an edge over them?
No, I wouldn't say that. Their World Cup record over the last, I think 5 or 6 World Cups has been unbelievable. They're a great side with a great mix of experience, youth as well. They're led unbelievably well. They've got world-class players all throughout their 11 or throughout their 15. So you can never ever take any team lightly, and we've seen how close all teams are in this competition. Even through the qualifiers, the teams are so close, and the gaps the margins in T20 cricket are so fine that any person on their day can take a game away from an opposition. So you just have to be really mindful of that and hope that you're on the right side of it each time.
And it's only been less than a year since you guys won the last World Cup. What did you learn from that, and how much do you take from that about how to approach a long tournament like this?
Yeah, well, it's quite a quick tournament actually compared to last time, because there was no travel or anything last time. So it was, I think, 4 days between games with no travel days, which makes a big difference. I mean, this tournament we go from here in Sydney to Perth to Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide. So we're all over the place, which takes obviously 1 day out of your recovery and preparation and stuff. But I'm feeling really confident about our squad where we're at the moment. But T20 cricket, you need a bit of luck as well. And what we learnt from the last World Cup was if the team's got real good belief, that goes a long way, and it rubs off on each other, and it's unmeasurable in terms of stats or anything like that. But the belief in the group was unbelievably high last year when nobody gave us any chance at all. But within our change rooms, we had a huge confidence that we were good enough on our day to beat anyone, and we feel as though we've still got that belief.
We might just stick to one question each from now on, guys, because we're running over time.
Great. I've just got one quick question, Aaron. If that 0.5% chance were to eventuate and Wade were to be ruled out on the day, who would take the gloves?
Probably Davey Warner, I would think. He did a little bit of practice yesterday. Myself, maybe I could do it. Maybe captaining and keeping when you haven't done it before is a little bit tougher. Maybe Mitchell Starc can bowl a few up front, take the gloves through the middle, and then bowl again at the end. It's a good question, but probably Davey, to be honest. And like I said, that's a risk that we're prepared to take at the moment.
Stole my question. Good question. So did you have the gloves on a bit yesterday? Like, were you all having a go at keeping?
No, I didn't. My knees and everything are getting a little bit old for keeping, I reckon.
And just on the team, so the squad's fairly similar to last year. The big change is probably at the top with the coach. Is it a different atmosphere or preparation, or how you've gone about preparing, given you've got a new boss?
Yeah, we've probably been a little bit more flexible in the lead up to the tournament in terms of making sure that guys have had enough exposure, but also enough experience in certain positions should that come up in the tournament. And that's why Greenie, for example, opened the batting a couple of extra times throughout the West Indies series, because we just felt as though if something was to happen to myself or Davey at the top of the order, whether he could come in, whether Smithy could open the batting. Maxi's done it the last game against England, and he's done it a few times in various T20 comps and for Australia. So it's just trying to make sure that we've got all bases covered, so that if there was to be an injury, that it's not catastrophic to the structure of the team, and you're not trying to reshape the whole team around one position, that it can just be a straight swap, or it might be two positions, but you're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater to redo it. So that's been a real good part of it, and everyone's been really open about that, and all the players have been on the same journey as well. So that makes it easier to do when you're honest with people, but knowing in the back of our mind what we thought our 11 might look like in the lead up to this game.
Aaron, you said last time no one really gave you guys a chance. You were the underdogs. This time there's a greater external pressure. Do you approach it differently? Do you feel that pressure? Do you block it out? Do you thrive off it?
No, we don't. I certainly haven't read anything or listened to anything about anything external, because you can't control that. And if you allow yourself to be wrapped up in it, then you're not focusing 100% on what's right in front of you. And that's really important for our team, because if you look back, well, if you look down at our list, we've got guys who are really instinctive and proactive in T20 cricket. So you never want to take that away by putting 1% of doubt in anybody's mind or taking their focus off anything. So we've been, well, we actually spoke the other day about what we wanted the environment to be if you take winning out of the equation, because every team wants to win. That's a given. In professional sport, every team wants to win. So what does our environment look like if you take that off the table? And that's really important, that we just play in the moment, enjoy the ride, because it's a really tough competition, and you're going to have to be at your best. So don't allow yourself to be dragged down or your focus to be shifted from what's right in front of you.
All good. Sounds like we're done from the floor. So we've got a couple here online. One question each, please, guys. We'll start with Anuj. Who is on mute? Doesn't look like we've got Anuj. We'll go to Ikush. No. Let's try 3 out of 3. Umesh. Doesn't appear to be working, guys, so we might wrap it up there. Thanks very much, everyone, for coming.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Have a good day.